We begin today, the 19th letter. And in this letter, Alter Rebbe describes how from the infinite we come to the finite. And it is through a conduit, an intermediary. An intermediary has to have something from above and something from below to bring the two things together. So above is infinite, below is finite. So this is hinted in the words of Psalms, Tehillim, where it says, that God, he wraps himself, his light, with a garment. So the light is infinite, and the garment is finite. So you have the two fused together. And this is the intermediary that brings existence, brings life, brings vitality, especially if we're talking about a new year. It brings it through Torah. Torah is the vehicle, the interface, the intermediary that has a quality of the infinite and the quality of the finite that infuses this world with vitality. So let's understand this concept. The Arizal says about Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, the ultimate prophet, the ultimate teacher, until Mashiach, of course, says about him that he did not grasp in the divine order of things the inner essential level of chachma, the divine level of divine wisdom. He didn't grasp the internal essential level of it, only the external, the exterior. So he had a handle on it, just like, a cup. I have a handle on the outside of it. But the inside, the internal, essential aspect, which of course a cup is what it's to hold, that he did not apprehend of the divine. He didn't apprehend that. And of course, levels beyond that also he didn't. Keser, crown, that is beyond Chachma. Chachma is in the head, right? Crown is, and Keser is beyond. Rather, he apprehended Bina, and how Bina, which is understanding, divine understanding, is descends and envelops itself or clothes itself in the six emotions. And of course, when we're talking about apprehending here, we're talking about apprehending in the divine wisdom, which is Torah, which is the divine wisdom. So the external aspect of, the emotional aspects that he did apprehend, he apprehends because they are the external aspect of Torah. They are the garb, the finite part. How's it the finite part? Well, the do's and the don'ts. Do this, don't do that. 613 do's and don'ts. That's the external, meaning how you have a handle on divine wisdom. That part he apprehended. The essence of it, the way it is in Netzach Hod Yesod, Malchus Nihim, that the essence he got. Anything beyond that, he got the external aspect. Now, that's quite something. Halavai that we should have that, right? But that's what he was able to apprehend in Torah, in Torah knowledge. However, the Alter Rebbe says, how do we understand that when the Kabbalists, like the Arizal, like others, actually apprehended higher levels of the divine? They were able to get to the essence of Chachma, and even beyond Chachma, Keser, as they explained it in their teachings. So they were able to apprehend it, the core essence of it. How could it be that Moshe Rabbeinu, who is the ultimate prophet, no prophet like Moses, and he was only able to apprehend the external aspects of those levels, while the Kabbalists are able to apprehend a much deeper and profound level in divine order of things, in the Torah knowledge. So the Alter Rebbe explains it's a simple distinction. There's a difference between prophecy and Torah scholarship. Prophecy is a prophetic vision. It's about seeing. Torah scholarship is not about seeing. It's about understanding, which is hearing. So when it comes to seeing the divine, as it says about Moses, you will not be able to see my face and live. Because seeing the faces, like when you see the face of a person, it gives you a window to the internal essence of the person. So likewise, God says you can't see the internal levels and apprehend that. That's too far and above and beyond you, the seeing of it. Therefore, you will not see my face. But hearing, understanding, that through Torah scholarship, the Kabbalists, great sages, were able to apprehend much deeper, profound levels of Torah. So with this, then we can understand the distinction. God's infinite light versus the garb that he hides it in. That infinite light is hidden of God. It's hidden. You can't see it just yet. It's hidden in a garb. Where's it hidden? In the garb of the do's and the don'ts. It's there. Right? So the do's and the don'ts, 630 commandments, are things we got to do and not do. Right? Put on your tefillin. Hear the shofar on Rosh Hashanah. Right? Walk to shul. Eating kosher. And so on and so forth. Right? So those are the things that are the garb, the finite expression of the divine, but hidden, garbed in it, is the light of the infinite. So Moshe Rabbeinu was the teacher of that external part, right? That's hidden in it a much deeper understanding that you can't see, but you can understand and apprehend and hear, which the Torah scholars were able, and the Kabbalists in particular, were able to understand deeper levels of the divine, apprehend them, where Moshe Rabbeinu was not, because he had it through prophetic vision and not understanding. So what comes out from all of this is that we don't see that hidden part, but we will, times of Mashiach. We will be able then to apprehend it because the essence of the divine will be revealed, and therefore the essence of that divine wisdom will be something we can apprehend. Now, what we need to do now to bring that about is the study of Chassidus, Tanya, as we're learning. Why? Because the Tanya is that light that's being garbed in the finite aspect of the divine teachings of Torah, right? Again, in the do's and the don'ts. And by understanding and grasping, then we're getting the infinite dimension that at least we're apprehending with our minds, as much as we're capable of apprehending with our minds. And hence the study of Tanya, Chassidus, gives us that capacity. And then that will help and bridge the gap. And when Mashiach comes, we will already have an inkling, a comprehension to some degree of the light, the infinite light of God, as it will then be revealed in a material world. Now it's hidden. We can hear it, understand it. The Kabbalistic sages, the Rebbeim, our teachers, the Alter Rebbe, all the way to our Rebbe, have brought it to down to us to a level that even our simple minds can comprehend and appreciate and apprehend. Ultimately, this is where we're going. So we got to share this with the world, because when the world will be sensitized with the inner light of God, the infinite light, as it is in Tanya and Chassidus, and of course, it can't be separated as some people take the Zohar and mystical teachings and separate it from the garment of Torah expression, which is the finite. Again, the 613 commandments, the do's and the don'ts, 7 for Noachide laws. Noachide laws for all of humanity. When you separate it, then you're missing the whole point. You can't study Tanya, and if you're Jewish, not hear the shofar on Rosh Hashanah, not keep the holiday the way it's supposed to be kept. You can't separate the two. Now, of course, that doesn't mean you shouldn't study, because hopefully you'll study and you'll come to that. But the two are intertwined, again, because as the verse says it, from King David, Solomon, that he wraps himself, the light, with a garment. So he takes the infinite light, wraps it within the garment of finite self-expression of Torah and mitzvahs. Again, 613 commandments, 10 commandments, and so on and so forth. Powerful idea. Something to share with the world. And how apropos to prepare for the new year. That the new light that God is going to bring to us on this new year, Tavshin Pei Aleph, 5781, a year that's going to be, Pei is Polois, wonderment, Aleph is Arena, wonderments that God will have us arena, see. That's what this year is. The wonderment that is beyond the infinite, arena, that will be perceived. That's what this year is. How perfect connection to what we're learning over here. And that's my wish to all of you. To be written, sealed for a good year, a sweet year, a year that's of the darkness that ensued all of humanity in a pandemic this past year, that it will be our enemy flows, that God, and by the way, that after 30 years mentioned this in 1991, that 30 years from now will be our enemy flows. I will show you these wonderments. So keep our eyes open, that we should be able to see the coming Mashiach, that we should be able to see God's goodness in a revealed way in our lives, personally, our families, collectively as a people, collectively of all of humanity, with the ultimate blessing, redemption, Mashiach now. Wishing you a good yontiv, a wonderful new year, and it's been amazing, and whatever we have accomplished till now, and I thank you for so many nice comments that people have made about how this past year they have grown. Expect wonders for the next year in your growth, as we will continue next year in Jerusalem with Mashiach. Thank you. A good yontiv.